Okay, moving on. You know, a million FEMA coffins in Georgia. They call them coffins. They're coffin covers for the dead, and they want to use them like Tupperware to store two or three of you, and you care little. Um, Concentration camps, established positions, scooping up a handful at a time. You know, there was an author, and I wish I could remember this statement exactly, but it's like he said when they were arresting the communists, I wasn't communist, so I didn't care. When they came to arrest the freedom of speech marchers, I wasn't a freedom of speech marcher, so I didn't care. When they came to arrest the Politburo, I wasn't part of the Politburo, so I didn't care. But when they came to arrest me, there was no one left to speak for me. And then he cared. This is indicative of our climate here in America. This is indicative of our mentality. If it's not affecting you directly, you don't care. Well, the current market didn't affect me directly, and I did care. Legislation that changed your freedom of speech, your ability to move about, the Bilderbergers, the Project for a New American Century, the 3,000, the Wall Street terrorists, the Washington, D.C. terrorists, and their private armies, and you didn't care. Well, now Blackwater and the military are getting ready to march our streets, police our avenues, drive around with Humvees with M60s mounted on top. And as long as they don't bother you, and as long as you have your papers on you, you'll be all right. Well, I'm not joining their system. Their system requires me to be a slave. Their system requires me to kneel. And as our founding fathers said, that a free man should never kneel before another man. And that's why they did it. Of course, they were tax evaders, and they didn't want to put up with a king who kept stealing all their profits. Plus, they were slave drivers. You know, I look at it and I'm frustrated because I really want to change this country. I want to change the mindset of people. I want to change our ability to become better people. And this isn't a freedom of speech lobby. This is the reality and personal responsibilities that we're required to do. When we look across, I can give you 1,000 examples of things that I really abhor now, that once I used to embrace as part of the society. And it's not that I'm antisocial at this point. It's that we've become so compromised as people, we've become so compromised as human beings, that our value system is gone. It's gone. And how do we fix it? How do we fix it? Oh, well, it starts in each and every one of us. And I've never been afraid to help people all of my life. And even against sometimes my own better judgment, and sometimes even against my own personal opinions on whether or not they really needed my help. And I've changed a lot of people's lives. I've helped a lot of people. I've done a lot of things personally, and you know, it's hard to be good all the time, and every once in a while you get a little evil streak that runs through you. And the only thing that's making me mad these days is how the citizenry will sit down and let government drive over top of them and beat them and say nothing, because they're not beating me. They're macing and stunning and shooting people, driving over them with cars, and hey, it wasn't me. But when they come for you, where were you? Were you on the front lines, or were you still shirking and hiding and declining comment because you were afraid if you got involved, they would want to arrest you? They might want to arrest you anyway. Just for the record, my personal belief in liberty is for me to be able to believe and live free without infringing on the liberty or the freedoms of anyone else. That means theft, rape, car accidents if avoidable, rudeness, blindness. Hmm? Ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. I think I'd rather be ignorant at this point. Because if at least if I were ignorant, it would be easy for them to control me. They use chemtrails to poison our sky. They use fluorine to poison our water. They're poisoning our children. They're using TV to poison our conscious thought. You know, America, we've been compromised. We've been compromised at every level. And they keep screaming freedom of religion to hate and burn and kill and destroy. Freedom of speech to hate and destroy. Ugh. You know, I saw a video not too long back talking about the analogy of the Titanic. If you were on board the Titanic, would you be running around the decks of the ship after it hit the iceberg, trying to warn people that the ship was sinking, or would you be trying to save your own life? And I've pondered that question because there came that point when the ship was sinking, and you can bet there was someone on board that ship who went down with it, trying to save ignorant people's lives. Because the captain kept saying, "Oh, it couldn't possibly sink, we'll be fine." And what's the ending to that story? Oh, that's right, they made a movie and there's a great big diamond at the bottom of the ocean, so they'd like you to believe. Yeah, shoot up flares for fireworks to lift spirits while the ship sinks. Ooh, ah. Yeah, that's super. Or do you climb on board a life raft and get away from the ship? All classes of people walk on that ship, and you can bet there were a lot of them who just got off the ship. Where I live, I'm not far from the Molly Brown house, so it's a perfect example of the Titanic. But she was led away because they insisted that she climb aboard one and at least wait to see if the ship was going down, and she agreed and did, and next thing you know, it started going down, and they quickly rowed away from the Titanic as not to be pulled in by the undertow. So it's just another analogy of the sort of mental warfare that we're facing now. And I'm not perfect, and I know no one else is either, so that gives me a certain amount of comfort. Oh, wait a minute, we have someone who's perfect. Yeah. I know your flaws, Holmes. But you know, America, we need to change our mindset, and I'm going to keep plugging. There are 20,000 troops in America right now, and they're here to take away your sovereignty. They're using the banks to capture your freedom, and it's only money. It's only money. So when do you change your mind about how you're going to perceive this? Or do you? Or do you just suck it up and continue? We need to take a hard look inside ourselves before we can start looking outward. We can save our country. It's in the Constitution. It's in the U.S. Treasury. And America does have a tremendous reserve. And the only reason why they won't invade is because Americans own guns. So their first goal is to take away your gun. And they'll be on the news talking about this person who didn't want to surrender their gun and how they fired back. And then they're going to demonize these people one at a time on national news so that others will surrender their guns. I won't. I won't. My freedom is at stake. My children's future and my grandchildren's future, that they never have some type of ID or chip installed under their skin. Never. Never. It's all in your mind. It's all in the way you think about it. It's all in the way you perceive it. We aren't under threat here. Liberty is still strong in this country, but it's more than just an idea, and it's a lot more than just a word. It's whether or not you can perceive what it is. Not just for you, but for everyone else around you, and to capitalize on it. They're not just words. The Constitution is not just a piece of paper. But, yeah, if my account's still on, I have to go to work. But I'll kick one out later if my account's still up. I'm not sure whether or not it will be. I know they plan on shutting it down today. So, yeah, I'll talk to you later. At least my internet